So it's a new year in the NHL, but unfortunately for Ottawa Senators fans, it just feels like last year, and the year before, and the year before. Yeah, another slow start for the Ottawa Senators, and really now, a lot of pressure is on the Senators management to maybe make a coaching change and fire DJ Smith. There's been a lot of those rumors flowing around. Senators fans have been calling for it. And lately, the Ottawa Senators off to yet again another slow start. And we'll be talking about this a lot. So starting off here with their overall season so far, through 15 games played, they are 5-9-1 for 11 points. They have scored 51 goals and have only let in 53. I found that kind of interesting. They've only really let in 2 more goals than they've scored, which I thought was kind of a cool stat. I mean, like, you look at last season comparatively, that's better. That actually is a lot better, comparatively speaking, but still not acceptable with the way the Ottawa Senators are playing right now. And it's looking like every other year. So they obviously started off 0-2, losing to Buffalo and Toronto. Many people argued those games could be coin flips, and either team could have won either of those games. The Buffalo one, hey, they were both at the same level, kind of, people argued. And Toronto, it was a close 3-2 game. The final goal was scored in the final minutes. And things looked good from then for the Ottawa Senators. They won 4 straight. They beat the Boston Bruins, the Washington Capitals, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Dallas Stars. Most notably, the Boston Bruins. That was the first time and the only time, apart from the Toronto game, where the Bruins have lost. So that was a pretty good accomplishment there for an Ottawa Senators team. And things were looking good. And then they lost 7 straight. And that really kind of just put a rock in the road for this team. They lost to Minnesota, Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Philadelphia, Vancouver, and New Jersey. So that was a very rough 7-game losing streak in there. Losing, and I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. A lot of these teams are good hockey teams. Florida's a good team. Tampa Bay's a good team. Vegas is a good team. The Devils are a good team. But still, schedule was definitely not in favor of them, and it looks like they're once again in another hole. So at this point, they are 4-9, or actually, I think it's like 4-8-1 if I'm correct. And then they broke the losing streak, beating Philadelphia, because of course they did. They just can't leave my Flyers alone, can they? And then they lost again last night, or the other night, against the New York Islanders. So, yet again, the question is overflowing. Are they going to make a coaching change? I wouldn't count on it. I mean, like, Pierre Dorion has even said himself that he's not considering firing DJ Smith. But it's interesting to look at the previous couple of starts. So let's take a look at what's happened the past couple of years with coaching starts for DJ Smith under the Ottawa Senators. So in 2020-21, I'm pretty sure that was his second full NHL season. I didn't include in 2019-20 because they weren't expected to be really that good. But yeah, in 2020-21, they went 2-12-1 through 15 games played. That is brutal. That is absolutely horrible. 2-12-1 is yikes. Then in 2021-22, they did a little bit better. They had a 4-10-1 record. And obviously this year they have a 5-9-1 record through 15 games played. Now, I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, they're getting slowly better and better and better. No, they shouldn't be. With the team, the acquisitions this team made in the offseason, they should be way better than the way they're playing right now, 100%. With guys like Claude Giroux, Alex Debrincat, we'll get into them in a second here. What the heck? Like, why are they still losing? And I'm kind of thinking maybe it actually is DJ Smith's fault. So let's take a look at some of the players in this team so far. Now, it is good to point out a couple injuries that are going on. Josh Norris is obviously hurt. He's been out for the whole year. He'll be out for a while still. Cam Talbot was out for a little bit. He's come back, though. And then even as well, Thomas Chabot is now out. And that's your best defenseman. So, kind of worrisome if you are Toronto. I'd definitely be very worried for that 100%. So, I mean, we'll see. But, yeah, those 3 injuries definitely hurt this team and are still going to keep hurting this team overall 100%. But anyways, looking at your top 5 goal scorers, you start out with Matthew. Well, I mean, yeah, Matthew's doing good too. But Brady Tkachuk. is having a pretty good season so far with the Ottawa Senators with 6 goals, 14 assists for 20 points in just those 15 games played. There aren't too many positives in Ottawa right now, but that is definitely one of them. Tkachuk has looked pretty good. Next up, Claude Giroux is actually on a 9-game point streak, if I've heard correctly. Pretty good. 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points through 15 games played. He's wasted no time whatsoever to get used to Ottawa, so that's another good positive there. Tim Stützle, he has 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points in just 15 games played. Obviously, Stützle yet again signed that 8-year contract and is looking pretty good. Those are all your players that are point per game. And it's kind of shocking that there are these many players a point per game when this team is 5-9-1. Whew, that is yikes. Then you have Drake Batherson. I don't know what happened there. Batherson has 5 goals, 9 assists for 14 points in just 15 games played. He's looked pretty solid as well. We'll see if he can keep that going. And then finally, to wrap out your top 5, you have Alex Debrincat with 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points in 15 games played. So obviously, those are your top 5 goal scorers. They've looked pretty good so far. Big shout-outs to guys like Shane Pinto. He's looked pretty solid as well as a rookie for this Ottawa team. Mark Kastelik as well in some of the games that I've watched for Ottawa. Keep in mind, I've watched a couple of games actually for the Ottawa Senators. He's looked pretty solid as like a 4th-line depth scorer, so we'll see if he can keep that going. But yeah, again, it is kind of surprising to see this many players doing so well and like their team still being pretty bad. 5-9-1 for 3 players over a point per game. I can name you a couple of teams right now that have no players over a point per game and are doing better than the Ottawa Senators right now. I don't know, honestly. So when you think of that, you're like, oh, maybe it's the defense's fault. That could be it. I'm not going to say it's wrong. You look at some of your defensive players so far this season. You have Jake Sanderson, who is definitely not the problem on that blue line in Ottawa, if there even is one. 0 goals, 7 assists for 7 points in 15 games played. He's also like a +5 if I'm correct. He's looked pretty solid so far. We obviously covered him in our rookie video, but he's looked pretty good so far with the Ottawa Senators. Definitely not a red flag. Has looked great. Next up, Thomas Chabot, who's once again playing crazy amount of minutes. 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points through 14 games so far. And as I mentioned, he is hurt. So yet again, I am going to say this. I know, I think other people have come up with it as well. Michael Bartner, a guy on TikTok. Big shout out to him. If you guys know him, I've partnered up with him a couple times. But he did make a good point of how you overplay defenders and they will start to get very injury prone and wear off early. And I think that's what the Ottawa Senators are doing to Thomas Chabot right now. And they can't be doing it because yet again, Chabot's hurt. So, I mean, it's happening once again. And it's just like, I don't know. They need to stop playing him so much. And I get that blue line is kind of brutal, but they need to start relying on some of the guys like Jake Sanderson to rise up into the lineup. Now, one player or one defenseman that I've heard get heavily criticized by Senators fans has to be Nikita Zaitsev. He has not looked good in some of the games he's played in. So far, he has 0 goals, 1 assist for 1 point through 7 games played, and he's obviously been waived. So he's obviously no longer a part of the Senators. He's down in the AHL with Belleville. He probably will never see the light of day with the Ottawa Senators ever again unless there comes an instance where they need to call him up. I highly doubt it, though. He has not looked good through some of these games, and the main reason why, yeah, the Senators are just, Sens fans often are seeming to blame him and DJ Smith a lot. So we'll see what happens there, obviously. But yeah, Zaitsev down in the AHL. If you don't think the defense is a problem, maybe you look at the goaltending, which isn't entirely false. But let's get into this here. So far, Anton Forsberg has played the most games for the Ottawa Senators. I have a feeling that probably will change with a guy like Cam Talbot coming back. He probably will start racking up more games and will likely play more than Anton Forsberg. No disrespect to him, but so far Forsberg this season through 10 games played has 3 goals, 3-6-1. He's not a player. A 3.60 goals against average and a .899 save percentage. He's looked kind of brutal for the Ottawa Senators so far, which is why I think they'll give Cam Talbot a shot. And so far, Talbot has looked better. 5 games played, 1-3-0, a 2.51 goals against average, and a .921 save percentage. So far, Talbot's looked pretty solid. But yet again, that's only in 5 games. So yet again, going back to the question, is this DJ's fun? I want to bring up the records we had from earlier in the video. Obviously, in 2020-21, they were 2-12-1. In 21-22, they were 4-10-1. And in 2022-23, they are 5-9-1. Is this his fault? Now, I'm going to say yes. I think they should fire DJ Smith and get a new face in there for the Ottawa Senators 100%. Because, I mean, hey, you have a whole new core here. More or less, you have a pretty new core. You have Alex Debrincat, Claude Giroux coming into the lineup. You got Cam Talbot back in net. I think that definitely if they fire DJ Smith, get another notable coach in that coaching role, maybe this team could do some wonders and make a big turnaround and maybe make the playoffs. But yet again, we keep talking about how the Senators don't want to get into this hole at the beginning of the season, and once again, they're doing that. So I think maybe you might want to actually fire the coach this time because you've tried him for almost 4 years now, and it hasn't worked. So maybe it's time to give somebody else a shot to turn this team around. So some of the other options that are kind of notable are Barry Trotz. I don't know why I said Brady Trotz. Barry Trotz. You have Alain Vigneault. You have Travis Green and Rick Tocchet. Now, obviously, Travis Green, no. Barry Trotz, I doubt he would come to the Senators, maybe, but he's still trying to take some time off. Obviously, Vigneault and Tocchet could be some interesting options, but other teams have looked in on Rick Tocchet and Alain Vigneault as well, so we'll see what happens there. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on what the Senators should do to kind of turn this around. Thank you all very much for watching. For us personally, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you're new. Sens fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.